One lone hand has raised
Subversive.
Actually, that is one more than I expected, I have to be honest.
Really?
Fuck no. Sorry. We are uncensored, but oh my God, the idea there's any comparison between Diana, who was the biggest star in the world.
The story begins the way all Meghan-related media earthquakes begin, with a whisper, a rumor, a little tremor on social media, but then boom. A Piers Morgan-sized bomb hits the internet, and suddenly the entire world is on fire again. And this time, the blast radius, massive. Because Piers didn't just speak, he dropped a hidden interview. One never aired. Never mentioned, never leaked, until now. And this lost footage doesn't just throw shade at Meghan Markle, it ignites a wildfire.
Harry and Meghan, when their behaviour became obnoxious, self-serving, and rankly hypocritical.
Now here's the wild part. The moment the clip surfaced, Meghan reportedly went ballistic. As one insider put it, she didn't just go nuts, she detonated. So, let's rewind. How did we get here? It all started when Piers teased a personal archive project on X, claiming he'd found old recordings from interviews that were never cleared by the palace. Everyone assumed it would be harmless, a bit of royal commentary, maybe some behind-the-scenes banter.
That there was a decision taken by the palace to stop Archie being a prince based on his potential skin color.
Nobody expected what came next. The clip is grainy, time-stamped, and unmistakably real. It's Piers sitting across from someone whose voice is blurred and face is masked. At first, you think it's just a producer or a palisade, but then the audio shifts. The voice becomes clearer, and you hear one line, the line that sent Meghan spiraling. She always said her plan was bigger than Harry, much bigger. That was it. 6 words. 6 words that blew up the internet.
Of the royal family or the monarchy, given that 2 of our most famous young royals have waged a 3-year war on the institution.
Instantly, the royal sleuths, the YouTube analysts, the commentators, the body language experts, they all went wild. Theories exploded. Was the speaker a palace insider? A former staffer? Someone who worked with Meghan in the early days? And then Piers drops the kicker. This was part of an interview we were never allowed to air. Oh, that did it. That took the scandal from T-spill to Category 5 media hurricane. Within minutes, hashtags erupted across social platforms. Hashtag MEGX, it 2.0, hashtag Piers versus Meghan, hashtag bigger than Harry.
With the media, everything that she does, they basically lambast the whole thing.
People dissected the audio like forensic scientists. Some enhanced it, some slowed it down. Some swore they recognized the rhythm of the voice. Others argued it could only be one of 3 people, none of whom Meghan wanted anywhere near a microphone. By lunchtime, memes. By mid-afternoon, reaction videos. By evening, news alerts. But behind the scenes, something even more dramatic was happening. Sources inside Meghan's camp claimed she completely melted down, not annoyed, not frustrated, full volcanic eruption. And honestly, you can kind of see why. Because the interview wasn't just embarrassing, it undermined the entire story she'd been carefully creating for years. The idea that she entered the royal world humbly, lovingly, with no grand ambitions. This clip torpedoed that storyline, and Meghan knew it.
Really? That feels odd to me.
Insiders say she immediately summoned her inner circle PR, legal, crisis communications. The whole squad phones out, documents up, screens glowing like they were planning an emergency evacuation. "We need to shut this down," she reportedly said. "We need to shut him down." But the thing about Piers Morgan, he lives for this. He thrives off confrontation. The moment Meghan flinches, he comes at her harder. And boy, did he. That very evening, he posted, "There's much more where that came from." That line sent Meghan's team into top-level panic.
A very complicated relationship with social media, as you can probably imagine.
Suddenly, lawyers were firing off letters, advisors were calling networks, PR managers were spinning like tornadoes, and the palace didn't say a word, not publicly at least. But behind those stone walls, they were watching carefully, quietly, probably with popcorn. Because here's the thing, the monarchy never forgets, never forgives, never misses. A chance to let someone dig their own grave, especially if they already packed the shovel. Meanwhile, journalists began digging. They wanted to know who the mystery voice belonged to. Was it a staffer Meghan once clashed with? A former friend? Someone from Suits? An ex-publicist? Or, this is the theory that sent Meghan into orbit, was it someone she cut out of her life after meeting Harry? And then the rumors started swirling that the speaker was someone who had been there during the transition period, those months when Meghan was still navigating fame, still shaping her brand, still figuring out how to merge Hollywood ambition with royal protocol. Someone who saw the blueprint early, someone who knew the plan, someone who remembered. And while speculation raged online, Piers continued teasing more. More audio, more context. More stories that never made it to air. Because the palace intervened.
Okay.
This is a 2-hour trash-a-thon of our royal family, of the monarchy, of everything the Queen has worked so hard for, and it's all been done.
The bombshell wasn't that someone accused Meghan of having ambitions. The bombshell was that someone credible had said it on tape to a major broadcaster, and the clip had been buried. Her lawyers went into hyperdrive trying to find out who exactly signed what, how the footage resurfaced, and whether they had any legal standing to force Piers to pull the clip. But the internet is the final boss. Once something's out, it's out. Screenshots everywhere. Mirrors everywhere. Backup copies everywhere. And Meghan knew she'd lost control of the narrative. Again, people weren't asking whether the claim was true. They were asking, if this was nothing, why was it buried? Who was protecting her? Who's finally breaking ranks now? And the question that hurt most, did Meghan always intend to outgrow Harry? Those whispers, those insinuations, cut deeper than the footage itself. Even Harry's expression at a recent appearance had become meme fodder, with people saying he looked hollow, deflated, gone inside himself. It didn't matter if it was true, it looked true. And in media, that's worse.
In Britain calls it that. Meghan Markle. You know, she got lucky, met her prince, dragged him out of the bosom of his family, dragged him away from the monarchy.
Meanwhile, Piers milked the chaos like a man hosting the Super Bowl of grudges. He went on air smirking, sipping tea, dropping coy comments like, "You think that was the only recording? You think she told people the whole truth?" Oh, the things we know. It was peak Piers messy, petty, and impossibly entertaining. But for Meghan, this wasn't entertainment. This was war. And she wasn't just fighting Piers, she was fighting public perception, the palace's silent calculations, Harry's strained patience, and the growing suspicion that someone from her inner orbit wasn't on her side anymore. And as the dust began to rise around this chaos, one thing became clear.
Piers, we're sitting at this beautiful table. I'm going to call this episode Between Two Flames.
This wasn't the climax. This was the opening act. And the next explosion, much, much bigger. The internet found the voice, not guessed, not speculated, found. And the moment the match was confirmed, everything exploded. Late that night, a TikTok account with barely 3,000 followers dropped a side-by-side comparison. The mystery audio versus an old panel discussion interview from years before. Same rhythm, same sharp inhale, same habit of emphasizing the last word in a sentence. Within an hour, voice analysis accounts synced the patterns. Within 2 hours, Twitter locked onto the identity. Within 3 hours, the name was everywhere. And it wasn't some random acquaintance. It wasn't a distant coworker. It wasn't a commentator with an agenda. It was someone who had known Meghan before the fairy tale, before the palace, before the titles, before the global branding, someone who helped shape her early public image, someone who had seen firsthand how she planned her career moves, someone who had been part of her inner circle during the crucial transition from Hollywood actress to royal hopeful. The internet erupted. Because if this person was talking now, it meant one thing. The old guard was breaking ranks, and Meghan knew exactly what that meant. The memoirs, the interviews, the rumblings about former friends selling stories, all of it suddenly felt closer, sharper, more real. By sunrise, her lawyers were firing off inquiries to networks, producers, and former staffers. Meanwhile, Piers was enjoying every second of it. When asked about the identity leak, he shrugged on air. "I didn't name anyone, the public did. It's not my fault if they have good ears." Then came the part that really made Meghan's team panic. He leaned forward, smiled that dangerous little smile, and said, "And now, let's move to clip Number 2. No intro, no build-up, no mercy. The screen cut to another grainy segment from that same unaired archive. This time, the mystery insider leaned forward, no face shown. But the audio, crisp and perfect. She always said the goal wasn't to join the royal family, was to outgrow them. 5 seconds. That's all it took. And the room behind Piers erupted into chaos. His staff gasped. Phones buzzed live on air. And social media detonated. The moment turned into a viral clip instantly. Meghan's team, they didn't gasp. They went into full shutdown. Full lockdown. Full digital triage. Search engines were monitored. Old acquaintances were checked. Their crisis lawyers were reportedly on calls that lasted until 3 a.m., but here's the part that terrified them. The palace still said nothing. Not a word, not a leak. Not even the usual sources close to the royals' chatter. And that silence was loud. Because even when the palace wants to distance itself, they usually send out subtle guidance through friendly reporters. They float a calming hint. They remind everyone to move on. But this time, nothing, which meant they weren't stepping in to protect anyone. Or maybe, and this was the fear behind Meghan's frantic phone calls, maybe they knew what else was on those tapes. Because if this insider gave 2 explosive clips, they might have given 20, and Piers absolutely knew the value of timing. The media frenzies spread like wildfire. Morning shows debated what it meant. Even networks, usually friendly to Meghan, quietly edged away, choosing words carefully. Like they already sensed which way the wind was blowing. Commentators picked apart the phrase, outgrow them. Was it ambition? Was it resentment? Was it strategy? Was it a blueprint? Meanwhile, journalists began digging into the insider's relationship with Meghan, sniffing out any hint of fallout, bitterness, or financial troubles. Because the story wasn't just about what they said, it was about why they were saying it now. And the strangest part, Trevor Engelson, the ex-husband whose silence had always been suspiciously perfect, suddenly popped back into the search trends. Not because he'd spoken publicly, but because online sleuths noticed something peculiar. He'd turned off all Instagram comments the moment the Piers clip hit, then he went offline. And if Meghan was spiraling before, that pushed her over the edge. Because she knows exactly how much Trevor could say if he ever chose to. She knows exactly what he saw back in the early days. And she knows exactly how badly the public wants to hear it. Her team reached out to him. Multiple sources confirmed it. Not a warm hey, hope you're okay call. This was business. Damage control, containment, urgency. Because if one insider had flipped, who else might? And Piers, smelling weakness like a shark sensing blood, closed his next broadcast with the most chilling tease yet. We haven't even gotten to the real part of the interview. The internet froze. If what we've seen already is the warm-up, what on earth is in the rest of that footage? Meghan's PR operation was now in full meltdown, frantic messaging, rapid rebuttals, angry corrections to headlines. But even loyal outlets hesitated because no one wants to defend someone when they don't know what bombshell is coming next. By noon the next day, a reporter outside Meghan's Montecito home described the scene. Security pacing, cars coming and going, lawyers arriving, lights on in every window, and inside. A crisis meeting that had one question hanging over the room. How do you fight a ghost from the past when the world is rooting for them to talk? The clip wasn't just damaging, it was destabilizing. Because if Meghan's old insider was right, if she did always plan to outgrow the monarchy, then her entire narrative victimhood, innocence, confusion, naivety began to crack. And Piers knew it. Oh, he absolutely knew it. Which is why, just before going off air again, he said something that sent chills through the entire royal reporting world. This story is far from over.